You're listening to the Get.Out.N.Drive.Podcast with John, CustomCarNerd Meyer, and Jason, OldeCarrGuy Carr. We'll be bringing you gearheads everything you never wanted to know about cars and why they should be on the road and not in your garage. Are you ready to get out and drive? Get those cars on the road October 2nd, 2022 to celebrate National Get Out and Drive Day. Visit nationalgetoutandriveday.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to another wicked, fantastic episode of the Get Out and Drive podcast. I am John, CustomCarNerd Meyer.
And I'm Jason, OldeCarrGuy Carr.
Now, I know some people have watched my social media throughout the weekend. I was hanging out with AJ Ware of Petty GMS, and it was ridiculous. So we've got AJ with us today after we finally had, a chance to hang out and a chance to stop and breathe. And AJ's going to hang out with us for a little bit and hopefully talk about what happened this weekend, and it won't take as long because we did a lot of stuff. Welcome, AJ.
Thank you, John. Glad to be back. Hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm doing all right. So
Good,
you guys
good.
had the opportunity to spend the weekend at the new Worldwide Technologies Raceway for the Illinois 300.
Correct.
So, John, I want to know every little detail about that experience.
I can certainly tell you, I did not expect what happened, with AJ. I expected, oh man, we're going to hang out with AJ, walk around, we'll get a sandwich and a drink and kind of hang out. I wish that's what happened. It was ridiculous. I think my legs are still hurting. We went and walked everywhere. This dude, he met me and just treated us incredibly well. Got VIP passes. We got great parking, all sorts of things, and met Richard Petty. AJ and I walked around with my son, Austin, and we got to meet a bunch of drivers, Petty GMS drivers, and a bunch of other different people, and it was a very surreal experience. So definitely thank you, AJ. Very, very surreal experience, and I can't stress enough to any of our listeners, if for whatever reason you want your name on a NASCAR car, definitely contact AJ Ware at Petty GMS. I can't, promotions God, promotions genius. It's crazy. You have blown it out of the water. So I'll let you talk and see how you felt this weekend, what you did. I know we were running everywhere.
Yeah, that weekend was, we kind of call it a unicorn. It was the very first race at Worldwide Technology for NASCAR Cup. So it was all the dog and pony show, we call it. And of course, Friday was, Richard Petty Day, it was the decree, so we had that. So we had him out there. And, it was just, as we call it, John, when he was out there, it's organized chaos.
Mm-hmm.
We have a schedule. Remember, I sent you a schedule and we nailed it, right to the T. There's one little hiccup there in the middle, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But, when we have, the timing of the drivers and the track and NASCAR and TV, we've got to hit those. So that's a lot of running around, a lot of, okay, look, we got to go hit this mark over here. But it was great. It was great, having you and Austin to kind of tag along and learn. It was eventful. It was warm, but it wasn't hot. Not to me anyway.
Right.
So
I didn't think it was stupid
beautiful.
hot. Yes.
Right. And it didn't rain. Normally that time of the year out in the Midwest, it rains a little bit. So we had a beautiful weekend. Couldn't ask for better weather, to be out there.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, and I think it's going to be really good for Illinois and the St. Louis metropolitan area to get that race. I know it was an inaugural Illinois 300. To get the race to come back next year, have you heard rumblings yet at all about it's going to come next year? Or
it is going to be back in 2023. They've already decided that. So, so that's, hats off to the track's owner, Curtis Francois and Chris Blair and their whole entire team. They took care of us, the entire time we were there. Anything that we needed, they, hand and foot, they really took care of us. And gave us ice cream. $10, I think is the name of the ice cream place there. They gave us some local restaurants and recommendations, great food.
Yeah.
Went downtown, St. Louis, of course, had to see the arch and everything else down there. So it was great time.
So AJ, from your perspective, what exactly is entailed to coming to a brand new racetrack or one that's not been a part of your ongoing schedule for so many years to kind of put that timeline together? Is it something that somebody throws you the timeline and says, here you go? Or is it something you got to work with them to make it happen?
Great question. So there's a couple timelines, that we have to meet. One is dictated by our partners. So our partners down there, that weekend was Bommarito Group. And, John and his team were great. Then we have our partner, Worldwide Technology, who's they've got the rights to the facility, and we helped them, secure those rights a couple of years ago. So, we had to take care of them. And of course, we have, the Air Force, Black Rifle Coffee, everybody. So, we have to carve up the day, and it's only 24 hours in a day, right? So the hardcore time, the first hardcore time is, of course, Fox. It's on TV. So, we've got to back into that time. So we just start carving it out. NASCAR's got a couple of time slots that the drivers have to hit. 1948, which does sponsor meet and greet, driver meeting. So they've got to hit that. We've got, driver intros, they got to do that. So after that, then kind of back into some things. The drivers, they've got to have their personal time to kind of get in their own space. We can't run them ragged. So, they've got an hour and a half to do that. They've got to eat and all that and just, relax and do what they do. Then the rest of the time's up for us, so that's pretty much usually from around 8 a.m. on Sunday till about maybe 12:30. That's the time where we kind of drag the drivers around, take them out, do Q&As and, things like that.
Well, that's definitely an incredibly tight schedule, because I know when you sent me the itinerary, it was damn near minute by minute. And you said, this runs tight. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, it runs tight, so to kind of give you an idea, on Friday, that was our, our tightest day. If you remember, there was a lot going on because, we had Richard Petty. So, I'm in North Carolina, and I'm 2.5 hours away from my shop. So I get up Friday morning, 6 a.m., get up, take my son to school, drop him off at 7, and I hit the highway driving out to our shop out in Statesville. So I get there about 9:45 or so, and my flight leaves at noon. We have an A team and a B team flight schedule. The A team is mandatory. You have to be on the ground at a certain time, early. So, Richard Petty, his son, Rebecca, that you met, and a couple others, they're on that first flight. They've got to be there. And then, myself, Mike Beam, our team president, a couple race engineers, they're on the plane B, the B team. One of the reasons we do that is just in case one of those planes go down, you don't wipe out the entire team.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so a little bit of that is strategic. And, our team owner, Maury Gallagher, he owns Legion Airlines, and those charter planes that we use, he owns those as well, Victory Air. So we use those, and that airport's right outside the shop. So 9:30, I'm there. I go to the shop. I clean my computer, actually. I defrag it, until about, 12, go across the street, get on the plane. We land in St. Louis at around 12:20, your time. So it's an hour behind us. My first meeting, with Richard is at 2 o'clock. When I do that, I get there, I get in the golf cart. So my first time there at that track on the NASCAR side. So we get in and we ride around. So we know where we're going, because those gates change, on different days. So we get around, get acclimated to our surroundings, figure out the best route to go, where we're not really interacting with a ton of fans. Did that. 2 o'clock comes up. We run Richard over to the stage. He does the decree. So he gets off stage, and at around 2:30, 2:40, we got to be in the garage. We get there to do the pictures of Bommarito Group, do that from 2:40 to 3. 3 o'clock, the drivers come over. They do the meet and greet with Richard and Bommarito Group. 3:30, we walk out on the track. Richard's got to do the ribbon cutting ceremony. We had the 81 Buick. So he gets in that, makes a ceremonious lap around, the first NASCAR Cup driver to do that. So he did that until 4 o'clock, go back to his motor coach, rest a little bit to about 4:45. 4:45, we load back up, drive over to the media center. We got media day with him at 5 o'clock. 5 to about 5:30, we did that. Take him back to the motor coach about 5:45 or so. We get in our vehicles. I drive back to my hotel, get there about 6 o'clock, shower, change clothes, and go meet sponsors for dinner at 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
A day in the life of AJ Ware.
Yeah.
It boggles my mind. And I know everybody in the world, wants to wants to be you, but it's you run yourself ragged.
We can, and we've got a great team that takes a lot of pressure off of us. We know when each other gets tired. We know when Richard gets tired. Like that break we talked about in between there, and
right.
People kind of forget. He'll be 85 here in next month.
Yeah.
So we try to make sure fans see him because we don't get him out that much, especially like that.
Yeah.
Where he's headlining everything, and you can kind of get away from us, and then things just kind of pop up.
Right.
That we have to take care of as well. And it takes organization. If you talk about why she says I'm not organized, but I am, she doesn't see that side.
Right.
But yeah, it definitely takes a lot. And people in the industry, so again, I sell sponsorships. They see the name on a car. Mm-hmm. They just don't know what we do behind the scenes.
Wow. I know there's a lot of things that were going on, and I saw Dent Wizard, because it's a St. Louis company. They were on the car in St. Louis, and as well as Bommarito Automotive Group. It was nice to see. It was great to see a lot of local St. Louis names on the vehicles, and those are on Fox national TV, and that's some pretty good airtime for those companies.
Those companies really, they stood up, and again, they really supported the track. That was key. In order for NASCAR to bring the Cup Series there, is to have the support of the community, mm-hmm. and of course the business community. You mentioned Dent Wizard. Of course, we had Bommarito on our car, and probably saw the Clydesdales. Budweiser was there supporting. Mm-hmm. I'm sure the fans appreciated Budweiser being out there. Enterprise Rental Car was there. So several others from the area definitely supported the event, which is great.
Now, AJ, is that a common thing that when you go to certain tracks, you attract certain local companies as well, not just the huge names like Tide and Gain and all that stuff, who are major sponsors, but like, for instance, New Hampshire is the closest track to us. So when we go there, we're seeing a lot of local things on some of the signage and some of the cars. So is this something that you guys are reaching out at each track to say, okay, within a certain radius, there's a group of people that might want to get their name on the car for the weekend?
I try to look at the local tracks and see who they have, starting out. Again, I've got some software. So every race that we go into, I try to do that, is to try to incorporate, some local, company and get on the car, because I don't know what they're thinking. They may think, well, I can't afford to get on the car, or whatever. And obviously that's up to me to make sure that they can and definitely, get their money out of it, and then show them the experience as well. We're the visitors, right? So we're going in and we're quote unquote putting on a show. So I want to make sure that the locals, have an opportunity to, partake in that, if that's, in the stands or that's hanging out with us or, whatever. So we definitely try to throw those local businesses a bone whenever we can.
And I have to ask this question. It's like out in left field because I'm a nut. Will any of the cars that were at the raceway, will they ever be a diecast car?
I think the Bommarito car will. So when we run a new paint scheme, our diecast partners, you got to have a minimum order.
Sure.
They're not going to run a scheme, and that minimum order is 500.
Okay.
So when we have partners that really want to get their name out there, and again, this falls under our VP of licensing, Jim Hannigan. He'll have that conversation with, well, look, we need 500 pre-orders to meet MOQ, minimum order quantity. Mm-hmm. So if they do that, then yeah, it'll get out there. And sometimes, the partners, they'll just buy 500 on their own just to make sure it gets out there. And we've got one, coming out now with Ferris Motors on the 42. So, they pick that up, and then it just goes from there, then it gets into the T-shirts, it gets into the caps, it gets into the polos, crew shirts, things like that. And that's just branding. It's great to see, people, wearing their stuff around. Mm-hmm. John, you had on your shirt out there, and I had people asking me, what's Get.Out.N.Drive? What's that bike? Go ask him. Go talk to him. And they're like, no, I'm going to. So he doesn't bite. He just looks that way. Go talk to him. It's fine.
Yes, I have. I know some of our listeners have seen what I look like. I do have resting bitch face all the time, constantly. Yeah. Not a person that likes foolishness.
Right.
Any given time, I can just picture John saying, "Get off my lawn."
Yes, exactly. I did, and my son did. We got to meet so many people, and I want to say thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
It was an incredible weekend. The fact that you already said, hey, you want to do this again, and I think I fell off my chair. And that was the only thing I heard was, do this again. And that's fantastic. Again, an incredible thing you provided. Thank you to all of your team, everybody, Richard, and everybody for an incredible experience.
You're very welcome. It's we as a team, we look at questions, that we have because we do, represent, Richard when he's not around, and it starts at the top. It starts with him, and we try to, carry that all the way, to the bottom. That experience. So, and each and everybody, not just me, you may Alan and Lance and Brian and Rebecca and the entire family there. We just try to just do right, by people because like me, as I grew up in the sport. Sure. So I was on this side where I wanted to get behind and have that. So the way I approach my job and what I do, I try to definitely keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm. Richard stepped off the coach. And he's coming around and he's going to walk around my son. And I said, oh, hey, Richard, hey, what's going on? And my son turned around and he did not know Richard Petty was standing behind him. He said, oh my God, it's Richard Petty.
Yeah.
And Richard said, hey, how you doing? He introduced himself to my son. And my son looked at him and the very first thing he said, when I am your age, I want to be so badass that I'm wearing the same outfit for 60 years and pulling it off. You are awesome.
Right.
Richard didn't know what to say. He started rolling laughing. and then we started talking about things. Then he went and signed my car. I had a Hot Wheels car, and it was from the very last car that he raced before he retired.
Yeah.
And I remember pulling that car off of the shelf, 1992, I think it was.
92. Yeah.
It's in my collection, sitting down here somewhere, and all the stars aligned, and I was able to bring it and hang out with you and get Richard to sign it. In Petty Blue, no less. I made sure I brought a Petty Blue marker, and he liked that. He dug it. He thought that was cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Yep. I know this is about the weekend and the whole bit and everything. A lot of people really wish they could be part of the NASCAR situation, and part of that, I was able to stand with you. We're hanging out, right? There's that yellow line. You can't go inside the little pit box, and you can't go inside there. And we're hanging out, sitting there leaning on the tires and talking to each other. And I'm talking to the gas guy, talking to the gas man, and we're asking him questions about everything. And we were, my son's a machinist, and we were asking about how they check the wheels with the new single lug, the single mount knockoffs, and they had a little test fit piece, and they were test fitting each one and marking everyone, and that really interested my son from being a machinist, making sure everything fits and how everything works. And he asked a lot of questions, to the jack man and to the guy running the impact, to everybody. How do you like the new wheel system? Is things going to work and this and that? And it was interesting, and it was fun.
You see when we're out there, we all wear earpieces.
Yes.
So we kind of know, when the laps are coming, whatever. And they really enjoy, getting out and explaining their jobs. Because, a lot of people don't know, really, what they go through. They have to stay in shape. They have to know, pretty much, everybody else's job in case somebody gets hurt, then they kind of, step into that. So it's great that you guys, had an opportunity to talk to them, because those are the kind of like the unsung heroes, so to speak. We get to have fun, we get to stay clean and all that. And those guys are in those fire suits. And again, it's not quite 90, maybe it's like 84, something like that, maybe 84, 86 degrees that day, but they still got to, wear the helmets and those fire suits for about 3 hours, just standing around, So those guys are, I call them badasses. I did that all the time on social media. They truly are.
Oh, they are. And one thing that I did notice is I know they have backups for everybody, and they have other guys that are waiting to come in, their stand-ins and things, and they are unbelievable athletes.
Right.
I can't even begin to tell you that I watched other teams and the Petty GMS team, the 43 car that we were standing in their pit, they were walking and putting their hand above their head and taking their leg and touching their hand. They'd take their left leg and touch their right hand, take their right hand and touch their left leg. And it was amazing. These guys were throwing the jack on the floor and picking it up like military rifle presenting. Muscle memory. They knew every single solitary thing to do. And And to do that in a helmet and a fire suit and the protection cover and all that stuff for the gas man, incredible athletes.
They are, a lot of them come out of, collegiate sports.
Mm-hmm.
We try to recruit from that, mainly football. Again, they are, flexible. But definitely strong, and, I'm 6'4", 275, and I'm the little guy on the team, compared to those guys. Those guys are, beasts, and so they definitely have a, workout, routine, every day, during the week when we're not at the track, and they get in their routines there. They start stretching and, again, like you mentioned, muscle memory, just, get into their routine. So one is speed, obviously, they turn those cars around now in less than 10 seconds on a pit stop, be a great pit stop. And then, so it's the speed of it. And then, obviously they don't want to get hurt, because, you pull a muscle or something, it's going to take a while for that to heal. So then they, they'll be out of competition for a while. So they definitely got to take care of their bodies. They got to stay hydrated. The food, that we feed is, high protein and, things like that. So they're definitely, athletes for sure.
Well, AJ, you had mentioned earlier, or throughout this whole conversation, about the amount of time that you have to put into organizing and making sure you're here at a certain time. You're talking to very high-profile people. You mentioned the Cardinals. You're dealing with all the sponsorship that you deal with. If somebody, now this is a question coming from upstairs from Joanne, and I'm just kind of helping to ask it, is right. If somebody wants to do what you do, what advice do you have to that person?
Ask, for one, because it was easy for me to kind of get in there. Richie kind of found me, and I kind of went through that on first time I was on your show. But, definitely, ask around. This is, finding sponsorship is hard. Again, for a full season, we're right around the $8 to $10 million range. So I get a lot of no's. We get a lot of companies giving me that type. So you got to have, thick skin, and some people just don't like asking others for money. So, so that's tough. Definitely got to have that thick skin, but definitely networking is huge. John probably noticed that, going down, and I'm always speaking to people, people that I recognize, people that I know. Although, we love our team, sometimes at the end of the year, they go to another team or they go to another racing series. Again, I came from NHRA side. So now I'm on the, the NASCAR side. I've got buddies in IndyCar. So, networking is probably the biggest thing, especially in the profession that I'm in, networking and doing, sports business. But simply, if you want to get into it, just simply ask around. And then that'll start the process, and that'll get their wheels turning, and then we can kind of guide them from there.
And AJ, we kind of touched on a little bit as we promote on Get.Out.N.Drive.Podcast, what drives youth. We talked about people that wanted to be involved with NASCAR, either as a driver or as a crew member or anything like that. Do you have any advice for any of the people that are the younger kids that want to become part of the NASCAR team anywhere? A school, direction, education, anywhere? Where should someone look?
If they want to get into the admin side, I definitely think, communication, taking something within that is huge, because it doesn't matter if it's me and on the sports business side, or, executive vice president, or just a driver. You're going to have to learn to communicate, so that, or public speaking, or, something like that, just to, kind of get the cobwebs off a little bit and really understand, because you're going to have people, there, you can't prep for questions sometimes. You just, you're in the moment. They'll walk right up to you, ask you a question, and you got to be prepared to, to really, do that. So definitely, something in communications, sports management, is great, because then you can go from, say, if I wanted to move up, my next step would probably be a sports agent. So, you kind of, get to there where I work, strictly with the drivers. I don't work with the team, I work with the drivers and handle them. So, something along those lines. There are colleges out there, and sometimes they're not even 4 year. There's some 2-year, institutions out there where you can get into their motorsports program. You can get, your hands dirty. Plenty of those. UNOH has got a, great program. They're partners, down at YL Tech. They're partners of, NASCAR as well. Getting into that, and again, same deal. You just got to network. It's kind of hard to put a value on who because everybody knows somebody that you don't know.
That's correct. That is correct. Networking is a big deal.
So, AJ, one of the things that we learned this weekend at Worldwide Technologies Raceway, we had Ty Dillon finish 27th, I think, according to my notes, and Eric Jones in the top 10.
Right.
So what do you think was the biggest thing that your team took away from this weekend's race at Worldwide Technology?
That's the first time that the Cup Series was there. So it's great having two cars so we can collect a lot of data, see what other cars are doing. The situation, Ty was up there for a bit and he got kind of banged up there, near the end, the caution stuff. And so he kind of fell back, a little bit. But, for the most part, they stayed clean, out there, running. There's no two tracks the same, but they're similar. So we look at, the handling of the car. Again, this is a brand new car for us this season. So that track in St. Louis is very similar to Phoenix. So, we got some great data there. We run Phoenix again later on in the year during the chase. So it's good to have, that information there. And Eric, running, pretty well. Really thought we had a top 5 car, but, the caution at the end, set up on the long runs, the car started getting, a little bit tight on it. So he kept, fell back a little bit. Definitely take top 10, P7 is great, over the last, 3 races or so. We've been running in that top 10 position and ended up in wrecks and having some miscues, mechanically where we couldn't finish in those positions. So it's great to finally bring one home.
That's one thing with this season. You get a brand new car, all new templates, and you basically throw all of the stuff you knew before. You almost kind of have to throw that away and start from scratch. And like you said, I'm quite familiar with New Hampshire Speedway. We talked about Worldwide Technology being a lot like Phoenix. Well, they attribute New Hampshire the same way because of its flatness. And you just kind of got to take the knowledge that you've learned over the years and try to apply it to this new format, these new cars and stuff like that. We're still learning, but are you learning and taking away valuable information each time you hit these tracks that you haven't run yet with these new cars?
Yes, we are. Every time, every lap's important. We're always learning from that. You're learning from tire pressure, camber, and even drive positions on the track. So the next time out, John, what I had to get you, I had to get you a team radio so you really understand what we're talking about. Yeah. One of the things I forgot to get you, never get you a radio so you can, kind of listen and really understand what they're talking about on the radio. We're at the 43 pit for, quite a bit. Rick, the spotter is telling Eric up front. And of course, our engineers looking at that as well. Where are the leaders running? Mm-hmm. Where are the guys running that are outrunning us? Are they running high? They're running mid. They're running high in, turn 1 and running mid and 2 or, whatever. So, we're getting that feedback. So it's always good to know, that information and see if our drivers can run there, if they're comfortable running there. Sometimes we may have similar setups, but the driver's driving style is completely different. We may have one that likes to lift early and get into the corners, and you may have one who likes to downshift. Mm-hmm. So we really got to, plan for that. And that's where that simulation comes to play, during the week.
Have you heard from any of the drivers, yours or any other team drivers, any feedback from the track?
Drivers are never happy, when they don't win, right?
I get it.
So, you have some opportunities out there, for sure. But, overall, I think, they were pleased with the racetrack. Mm-hmm. Wonder about is, can it handle the speed of a Cup car? Yeah, you can run trucks there. Trucks handle different, and you can run ARCA there, but can it handle, that next gen car? But overall, they were pretty happy. You didn't hear any craziness about bumps or, things like that. It wasn't a lot of wrecks, a bad track, wasn't coming apart and stuff. So it was pretty good. It was a great race for him.
That's glad to hear, because I know it was, pardon the pun, but it was a little bumpy start for
yeah.
Worldwide Technology Raceway in the past. I'm glad everything has come together. And we could have this race in St. Louis metro area in Illinois. So that's just a wonderful thing. I can't wait for you guys to come back. We can hang out for a while.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be a little bit easier for us this time coming back. Again, it won't be the inaugural, and so we won't have all the other stuff. So it'll be a little bit calmer next time, when we come back, and maybe we can hang out on Saturday or something, and take you to a sponsor dinner or something. So you kind of see that side. What do we do when we're not at the track, and really, really get to know the team. You really don't know people until you kind of take off the uniform, and maybe there's a couple of drinks involved here and there.
No.
So you get to learn, different, personalities. So those are always fun, with the partners, and sometimes they bring their family, so you get to know them and, their kids and things like that. So those are always fun events.
Especially the dog. I cannot remember the dog's name.
Oscar.
That's exactly right. That dog is a superstar. Everybody knows Oscar.
Everybody knows Oscar. Very well-mannered shepherd. Doesn't bark or anything. Very spoiled. Eric and Holly definitely spoils that. And he's got a sibling, Rabbit, Biscuit. Where they go, Oscar goes. He's got his own seat on the plane and everything. So definitely love us some Oscar. Well,
inside intel from AJ Ware on the inner workings of NASCAR pets.
That sounds like a spin-off podcast to me.
Right. What you're never going to hear on another podcast is AJ explain how fun the pets are in Petty GMS team.
We got, pets running around, I own the Mike Bean, he keeps his dogs around. Very, pet friendly, environment for sure. I'm gonna have to bring my birds to the shop one day. That's what I should do.
You have birds?
Yeah, I got parakeets. So my wife's very allergic to dogs, so
yeah.
So I would love to have a dog, but I can't. So we have birds and fish.
Nice. Well, that is incredible. I can't say thank you enough, and can't wait to hang out again. And thanks for taking some time and getting a recap, so sure, our listeners could kind of enjoy what you were able to provide and get an insight on your day-to-day, which is bonkers.
Well, thank you for coming out and hanging with us. Definitely appreciate that. And something I always say, that's time out of your life that you'll never get back. So I don't take that for granted. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate that.
Great. Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging with us.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a nice night. Jason, you like cruising around the internet, just searching for projects that you don't need. You do that?
I do. It's probably my second job.
It is your second job. I know I get smacked all the time because I've got plenty of projects, and I secretly still look for things other than the things that are in my driveway. What's wrong with us?
I don't know. It's definitely a sickness, but one of my favorite places to visit is racingjunk.com.
I go there a lot. I probably shouldn't, but I go there a lot. It's like a little secret hideout. I get really good deals there. Yeah, I'm sorry I'm saying this on the podcast. I'm going to let out the secret, but I'm getting much better deals there than I am on a lot of other websites.
Yeah, and not only can you buy and get good deals, but you can also sell your own junk and put money right in your pocket.
Yeah, that's right. They don't charge any transaction fees. Just 100% of what I make through my ad, I keep.
Absolutely. So if your wife is at you to clean out your garage for spring, you can post all your junk on racingjunk.com.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna stop talking now. I'm gonna head out to the garage, and I'll probably be back in a little bit, but I'm gonna head out and clean up some stuff. I know I've got a ton of stuff to sell.
Start making money today.
Get.Out.N.Drive.Podcast. Sell your stuff. Get money, stick it in your pocket. Jason, I know you're new to the Get.Out.N.Drive podcast. Don't you have something else on YouTube, like every Thursday?
Yeah, we have a podcast style live stream that happens on YouTube called the CarrGuy SixFan Show. It's myself and Grant Tommy, who goes by Straight SixFan on YouTube. And we talk a lot about cars, only it's live. If you're not getting enough on the Get.Out.N.Drive podcast, you can head over to the CarrGuy SixFan Show every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock Central. It's a collaborative effort between myself and Straight SixFan. So it alternates from my YouTube channel to his every Thursday night.
I've been there. It's cool. That's where all the cool guys hang out.
It sure is, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Are you looking for more action-packed car content? Head over to YouTube for the CarrGuy SixFan Show on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Find a link in the show notes and let them know you heard about it from the Get.Out.N.Drive podcast. Speed over to our friends at racingjunk.com and sign up for a Pro Club membership. Use the code GETOUT to receive a discount when you sign up for a Pro Club membership. cruise on over to our website, Get.Out.N.Drive.com, for all the info you never wanted to know about our podcast. Hit us up on our listener hotline, be the first to know what's happening, get industry news, and grab your Get Out and Drive merch. Connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Follow us on Twitter at Get.Out.N.Drive.Pod.
What drives you?